Public Safety Committee will resume from our recess from this morning. I want to thank everyone who stuck around. I know there's some other meetings going on, et cetera, so I appreciate those members who will be filtering in. Okay, the director asked us to jump out of order here, so we will accommodate House of Corrections Director.
Thank you, Chair, and to the council member. We have with me at the table is Lisa Scafidi. She's the manager. Is that your title? Jail liaison, who will go through her mission statement, and then she has 2 line items that she'll talk about. So
Okay.
we'll go over to Ms. Scafidi.
Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair. So,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon. Yes, good. Been a long
Yeah, you're a
day.
kid.
Division of Correction, to provide the incarceration of persons who have been arrested and convicted of crimes and sentenced by the court system. In 2018, as we all know, the city of Cleveland and Cuyahoga
Pull the
County.
mic closer to you so you can talk right into that. There you go.
Sorry.
That's all right.
In 2018, the city of Cleveland and Cuyahoga County entered into an agreement transferring all Cleveland jail operations to the county sheriff. The county sheriff provides all prisoner services, including booking, processing, after booking medical care, and housing for all individuals arrested by the Cleveland Division of Police or sentenced by the judges of Cleveland Municipal Court, and those individuals arrested by agencies operating under authorized agreements or memorandums of understanding with the city of Cleveland. The Division of Correction continues to monitor the process to ensure compliance with the negotiated terms of the contract between the city and county to ensure the county provides the level of services required by the agreement and the administrative chapter and the minimum standards of the jails in Ohio.
Okay. Okay, what is our daily average incarceration for Cleveland residents?
So today's population in the county was 1,589. And
1,000,
we're-
that was the county, 1,589.
Yes. The reported Cleveland population was 155, but we have about 75 that just have Cleveland charges. So the 155, they have like county charges, APA holds, their other agency arrests, they're not ours. So even though the reported number was 155, we have we're averaging about 75.
And we're paying how much for that, those 75?
We are currently paying $99 per prisoner per day.
Okay, and that agreement is in effect for how long? Yeah,
It is indefinite.
okay.
There is,
Oh, so there's no expiring date on that?
no, there is no expiration
Okay,
date.
So that's $99 per prisoner per day. Okay. Prisoner per day. Okay. And so that 75, is that what we're averaging about?
Yes.
Okay, okay. On your budget, under workers, I'm assuming that's on section 5140. I'm assuming that's workman's comp, the increase there?
Through the chairs of the council, yes.
Workman's comp, okay. And what's that, people were getting hurt, or what happened for the increase?
So we have 10 years to pay from when the division took over, so 10 years of claims. So anybody from, 10 years ago can still come back.
Oh, they can?
And yes, they
Okay.
have that 10 years, so we have
Okay.
no control over that.
What year did they take over the jail, the county take over the jail?
2018.
2018. Okay. Okay, let me see if there's anything. So we only have one employee, and you're it. 2 employees. 2. Who are
Yes.
the 2?
Nigel Fritz, he's a project coordinator.
Okay. And what do? You just monitor to make sure that the county's not overbilling us?
That's part of what we do, yes.
Okay. And then what's the other?
We handle any issues between Cleveland Police, any issues that they have at booking. We ensure that they're compliant with our contract. Any issues that the county has with the Division of Police will come through me.
Okay. Okay. Councilman Slife, any questions?
Yes, as I'm trying to pull up the budget book from last year, bear with me. You said there were, through the chair, that there were, the census of the jail currently is just south of 1,600 individuals, is that correct?
The total county
The
population.
total county
Yes,
population?
yes.
And of those, 155 either have some combination of charges involving Cleveland or Cleveland exclusively. So it's 155 out of 1,580. Is that
Through the
correct?
chair to the council, yes, that is correct. However, some of those no longer have Cleveland charges. Some have been indicted. They just didn't fall off the list yet.
Could you estimate that number?
I believe today there was maybe 10 individuals that were indicted. There were a few that weren't removed. So that combination of 155, just if I could explain a little bit further, they are outside agencies that are arrested on state charges. So those, although they're on the list, they're not really ours. Anything that goes through Cleveland Municipal Court is on the list. Brattonall goes through Cleveland Municipal Court. Some of the MDO dockets for outside agencies that have nothing to do with Cleveland also go through Cleveland Municipal Court. So they see them as a Cleveland because they're on that journal entry through the Cleveland Municipal Court. However, they're not Cleveland.
Okay.
So if I was to estimate, it's between the 155 and the 75. I mean, some of them have county holds, but the vast majority are going to be a combination of those two.
Gotcha. So if I'm looking at the budget book from last year, let me see if, trying to get to corrections. How do we estimate, if it's $99 a day, how do we estimate how many will be incarcerated for the budget year, and sort of, how do we budget? We're not seeking to incarcerate people, but how do we budget for it, knowing that people will be?
Through the chairs of the council, it is a little difficult to budget because it is based on how many individuals are being sentenced by the Cleveland Municipal Court judges, how many people are being arrested, how many are
Right.
requesting hearings. So that increases the days. If they're in, 3D court and they request a probable cause hearing, that's going to increase their days by, a week or so for each individual. So it really fluctuates.
Okay. I guess here's what I'm trying to get at. There's, in the budget, let's say we've been budgeting $3 million a year for other contractual, which I would presume is where we would pay the county out of. Is that correct?
Through the chairs of the
So
council, yes,
if
that's
there's
correct.
$3 million and there's 365 days a year, we basically have $8,200 a day to pay for individuals incarcerated in the jail. And if you divide that by 99, we basically are paying for 83 individuals on any given day to be in the county jail. The residents of the city of Cleveland are about a third of the county's population, but it seems we're less than 10% of the jail population. So to me, like, sort of the numbers defy expectations. I'm not seeking to incarcerate people, but I would think that if we are 1/3 of the county, we would at least have 1/3 of the, it would be proportional, setting aside the fact that crime is concentrated in some places in the county and not others. So I guess, and I kind of bring this up knowing that there have been, I guess, controversy and the county building of kind of, as I understand it, a belief that we are not paying our fair share, if you will. Are you able to comment, I don't know if this is a fair question for you, honestly, but I guess, I'm just surprised that there's such a small percentage of the prison census are residents of the city of Cleveland. How are our courts and other things diverting people away from? Is this a good thing, or is I guess what I'm trying to get at, is it good? There's a world where this is good. Fewer people are in jail. We don't need the jail. Fewer people are in jail. Or do we have a financial incentive to not incarcerate people who might need to be incarcerated because we're only budgeting for 83 people a day? And 155 people a day is really only 10% of the population. We're a city that's 1/3 of the county's population. Does that make sense to you, Mr. Chair?
Yes, it does. And so Would someone dare to take a jab at that one? Because, again, it raises questions. Are we charging people?
Yes, we are. Through the chair to Councilman's life, really good question that you pose. It's a combination of several things. I can tell you unequivocally that it's not a financial thing for the Division of Police and its men and women out there who are charged with keeping the city safe. It's also bail and jail reform. There are some crimes that in the past the county would accept and house individuals for lower level felonies and also misdemeanor offenses. Now those individuals will not be incarcerated. They will not accept them at the jails. So citations are written for certain things. Again, they will not accept. Individuals are released. Reports are made and so forth. So those, again, it's a combination of those particular things. But the officers are arresting individuals that the county will accept. For felonies and serious felonies and otherwise, and some serious misdemeanors. But again, it's a combination of both those. But there's not incentive because of the cost for officers not to arrest anyone.
So thank you. By and large, through the chair, it's correct that individuals in the county jail have not been fully prosecuted. They're awaiting if they were fully prosecuted, and they would be sent to an Ohio correctional facility or something.
To the chair, I think Lisa's probably better to answer that question, best
Okay.
to answer that question. I'll put it over to her. But yeah, there are a good percentage of the individuals in the county jails. They're still waiting for prosecution or their court hearings and so forth. I believe they do hold some folks there, but again, Lisa is in a better position to answer it than me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Through the chair to the council, so there are some individuals that are sentenced by the Cleveland Municipal Court judges. Those are the ones that are arrested on misdemeanor charges or found guilty of misdemeanor charges. They'll serve their sentence in the county jail. Other ones, so our arrest numbers are different than our population numbers. So once they go through that initial court process, they're eventually bound over to the Court of Common Pleas. So they're no longer a Cleveland prisoner, which then makes that county population number higher.
Okay.
So they started out as ours, and now they're a county prisoner.
So just to clarify, the 155 exclude those individuals who have been fully bound over.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
And on that point, they're all misdemeanors, those that are.
Through the chair,
No.
no, they're not. No.
No.
Some are waiting, so some are fresh arrests that were just arrested between yesterday
Okay.
and today. Some are sentenced. Some are just awaiting their next misdemeanor court date and have not posted bond.
Okay.
Some are felons that have been to court and are waiting to be bound over to the Court of Common Pleas, either by indictment or by
Okay.
the
So,
process.
to the chair, I will work on framing this as a formal ask, and I think it is ultimately an ask of the county jail, not necessarily, maybe of your office, maybe not. But I'm interested in understanding more. It had been mentioned, the county standards on what they will detain people for. I want to make sure that those are being evenly applied across Cuyahoga County, and that there's not a case where Cleveland police are being told one thing and Euclid police are being told another. Likewise, I think it would be interesting to have a breakdown of a daily census just for demonstrative purposes to understand who's bound to the county, who's held under a municipal court, which municipal court is that, and to be able to kind of compare how Cleveland Municipal Court is charging and imprisoning people compared to Rocky River Municipal Court, Lakewood Municipal Court, Euclid Municipal Court, just because, as I said, the numbers, that seems just to be a very low number. That's a number that surprises me. Maybe it's right, and the county bind over is the part that is kind of that missing data point, but it's surprising to me that there would be so few, given that we are such a substantial percentage of the population of the overall county. So I will work on getting that to you, because I think I'm brainstorming in live time, and it's causing my tubes to fry. So.
Okay. Do all the other municipalities pay $99?
Through the chair to the council, I don't believe so, but I can't say what they do pay.
Oh, we don't know what they pay. So we don't know if we're paying more than they are or less, or?
It's been said that they've paid substantially more than we do.
Okay, okay, Gotcha. Okay, Director, you want to?
Yeah, to the chair, to Councilman Slife, and again, to your question, I think it's a good thing that jail don't have a lot of Cleveland residents, however, or Cleveland arrest. Let me clarify that. Just because they're Cleveland arrest doesn't necessarily mean they're Cleveland residents. As to Lisa's point, maybe the daily population is 83, but however, you had mentioned it about individuals being indicted, bounded over, and so forth. Once they're arrested by Cleveland, they're indicted, they're bounded over, then it becomes the county property, so that's not on our count, so to speak. However, they initiated with a Cleveland arrest, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So a good percentage of the individuals in there are City of Cleveland arrest.
Okay. Any other questions of the committee for House of Corrections? Okay, without further ado, thank you very much for your
Thanks.
presentation. Okay, Division of Fire is up next. Director, introduce your team.
Sure, to the, at the table now is with Chief Luke and the staff, and they'll introduce themselves, and they have a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, thank you. Chief, welcome to the table.
Afternoon, Chair. Afternoon, Councilman. With me today is Dave Telvin from my Fire Prevention Bureau. Thank you for having us today to do our operational review for 2024.
Okay. You can just make sure that mic's in front of you. They keep telling us to.
Thank you.
We want to make sure everybody can hear here. Okay.
Okay, of course, our mission statement, to serve the city of Cleveland with the highest degree of quality and professionalism through a proactive commitment to prevent and mitigate emergency situations where life and property are at risk. In doing that, we are a 24/7, 365 operation, so we're always basically on. We have daily our suppression staffing, which that would be the staffing at our fire stations, the staffing that you see on the fire engines, fire apparatus. That is 161 uniformed firefighters each 24-hour shift. All those employees, those 161 employees on a daily basis, are on a one-for-one contractual replacement mandate, meaning if any one of those employees is absent, gets injured, is sick, we are contractually mandated to replace them that day, so we can't run any of our units short-staffed. Each emergency unit, fire engine, ladder, rescue squad is staffed with 4 uniformed firefighters.
That's for pumper and ladder company?
Yes,
Okay.
that's for our fire engines, which are our pumpers.
Right.
Our ladders, those are our aerial and tower
Right.
ladders.
Okay.
Our rescue squads are also 4.
Okay.
Our chief vehicles are staffed with 1, with the exception of our main assistant chief, that's staffed with 2.
Okay. Thank you. Continue.
And our administrative offices, which is basically our staff positions, fire training academy, fire headquarters, those are basically staffed with approximately 84 uniform employees daily and 13 civilian employees Monday through Friday.
Okay.
The division has 43 emergency response units operating daily. Once again, those are the pumpers, the ladders, the rescue squads.
Okay. Keep going.
Going to the next slide. This is just an overview of all of our fire station locations, our facilities throughout the city. In red, after every facility, is the political ward that station resides in.
Okay.
So as you see, we have 25 fire station facilities.
I could never understand the numbering of the stations, how they jump from the east to the west, the numbers. What's the historical significance of that?
That goes back to the late 1800s. I
Okay.
believe that the disjointed numbering you're seeing is due to the differing administrations as they came through.
Okay.
So some stations had the units in those stations numbered similarly. So like Station 17 would have Engine 17 and Truck 17.
Okay.
Other times, they would have moved Engine 17 to Station 24
I
for
gotcha.
some reason.
Okay.
And then over the years and centuries, we ended up with what we have now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, thank you, Chief. Go ahead.
The next slide is our incident responses. The time period I use for this is October 1st, 2023 through September 30th, 2024, representing roughly 365 days. So as you can see, we had a little over 2,000 fire responses with an average response time of 4 minutes, 49 seconds. Those fire responses resulted in $26,200,000 in loss. More importantly, they also resulted in $203 million in property saved. So the way that we look at this statistics is the Division of Fire members protected about roughly $176 million worth of property value by their response.
So just educate us. So a house is on fire, you respond, you put the fire out, and you give an estimated loss on that house, correct? The damage.
To the chair, that's correct. The incident commander on scene will file a incident report, and as part of that incident report, they assess what they estimate the damage to that structure is.
And that would be in your total loss, right?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, then your total value would be what? What's the overall value of the structure, or what, how do you,
In most cases, they go to the Cuyahoga County website
yes.
and get the estimated value of the property with the structure. And that would be the overall value of
And
what
then you
we responded
reduce
to.
to what you the estimated damage from
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yes,
I
Chair.
got you. I'm just trying to understand, okay. Keep going, Chief, on that. Okay.
Also, during that time period, we had just over 42,000 medical calls. That would be medical and motor vehicle accidents. Average response time to those was 5 minutes, 24 seconds. And then the rest of the calls are below that.
Yeah.
With the good intent and false calls categories below, you can really combine those. So we had roughly just over 20,000 what we would consider false alarms. And then for a total of 75,425 incidents.
So the false alarm is where an alarm actually went off, or that was an actual call for service?
It could be either or. It could be the alarm system actually went off and operated properly, and it was a resident problem, like
Okay.
smoking under a smoke detector.
Okay.
Or it could be the alarm went off and the alarm was faulty, and it's an alarm system fault, malfunction.
Yeah, yeah. See, I wouldn't expect it to be that high in light of the folks having, but then again, if, so it could go off in a structure. So when an alarm goes off at City Hall, someone's burnt their popcorn in a microwave.
Yes, Chair.
Is that a false alarm?
Every time the alarm goes off in City Hall, there's an automatic notification to the Public Safety Communication Center, and we automatically respond.
Okay,
Whether it's an actual
Yeah.
fire, whether
Okay.
it's a faulty system.
okay. EMS, first responder rescue, is those numbers going up or going down?
Those numbers are pretty stable over the
Okay.
past 3 to 4 years. We're right around 40 to 42,000.
Okay, I got you. Okay, thank you, Chief. Keep going.
And then going forward, over the next few slides, what I tried to do was to just give you a highlight of some of the activities, like non-normal activities that we undertook during 2024. The first being our response to the solar eclipse. We were given a mandate from this administration to basically try to do more with what we have. So we had gotten these ATV vehicles from the RNC back in 2015, 2016. So for the solar eclipse, we have been having more and more public events in the downtown corridor and public events where the streets are congested, where it's a problem for our apparatus to respond into. So we had these ATVs upfitted. This was our staff over at the Fire Training Academy. They
Okay.
took it upon themselves to upfit them with backboards and advanced life support equipment on board. So this was our first deployment of those vehicles during the solar eclipse.
Okay.
And then the next slide was not basically a highlight for the Division of Fire, but I thought it was important to bring some light to it. A citizen, John Stickovich, was driving to work one morning and just came across a house on fire with a young lady out front in distress. He took it upon himself to stop and see if he could provide assistance. The young lady told him that her infant daughter was still in the house. Mr. Stickovic made 3 attempts to go into the house. Each time he went in, he was pushed back out by the heat and smoke. The second time he came out, he asked the mother, could she provide him with some specific information of where her baby was at? She provided that information. In the last attempt, he was able to go in and successfully rescue the infant. When we arrived on scene, he had already had her out the house.
Okay.
During the year, we had the opportunity to basically reconnect Mr. Stickovich with the family out at Station 33.
And I was there for the ceremony, so it's great to see civilians stepping up, because I know in today's world, sometimes people are very reluctant to do that. And
Yes.
so I'm very appreciative to see him and the others that stood up to assist the Division of Fire.
Especially in this fire, because the two firefighters you see on the outer part of the photo that are injured, they were injured at that fire.
Okay.
It was a really tough, really hot fire. They were actually injured trying to rescue another firefighter that had gotten trapped under the porch collapse. So it was a real complex fire, but we just thought it was important to highlight that.
Okay, gotcha. Keep going, Chief.
On the next slide, 2024 is the 50th anniversary of 2 of our fallen firefighters, John McNamee and Edward Gresky. They are survived by, one has a living spouse, the other has, I believe it's daughters and family. So we had a ceremony at our Fire Training Academy just to bring them together, basically to show that the division never forgets. They appreciated it. It was a pretty good ceremony.
Yeah, and I was there for that one as well, and I commend you for continuing to remember, because I think so often we as Americans, I believe, come to the realization we have a very short memory, unfortunately, and we fail to remember critical losses and critical individuals. I appreciate the Division of Fire doing that over at the Training Academy. Continue, Chief.
On the next slide was an event we put on in the Central Avenue area. It's focused on maternal and infant wellness. The firefighter that you see in the second photo is firefighter Jeremy Caldwell, recently promoted to lieutenant. He had came to me and said he had noticed an uptick in the infant full arrest responses because he's assigned to Station 7 on Woodland. He had seen an uptick in the infant fatal full arrest responses that they
Yes.
were having in the area. So he had recommended that we, with our partner Moms First from the city's health division, that we put on an event in the area to basically do CPR training and bring all community partners that provided services for infants and pregnant mothers to this event. The event was well attended. We had more than a couple hundred contacts. We did infant CPR training,
Yes.
and we also had a lot of the healthcare, managed healthcare service providers there. They were very interested in getting the data that we received from the citizens, because from the conversations that we have, they have a lot of resources, but they're unable to connect those resources on the ground to the citizens that need it. So they're looking to us to try to bridge that gap. We're trying right now to figure out how we can integrate this kind of service, these kind of things into our regular operation. We're still working on that, talking to a lot of people, but we should have a pretty good idea going into the first quarter of next year.
Okay. Continue.
Another highlight for 2024 was participating in the Mayor's Summer Safety Walks. It was a little bit different for the division. It got us out into the community, but it was in a different way. It really did invigorate our smoke alarm installations, and it was really educational for us to speak to all the residents and just to see the day-to-day issues that they had and how we can mold our services to better provide them. Dealing with the kids on the summer safety walks was great. I know our public education unit greatly enjoyed themselves, so it was a benefit to the citizens and to us, both ways.
Okay.
The next highlight is our academy class. We graduated 38 firefighter cadets. We have one still in training. This is them in front of, that structure is one of their live burn structures. The individual in white is, at that time, that was Director of Training, Battalion Chief Tom Slomer. He's also recently promoted to Executive Officer of the division. But each class that the Academy gives on, I can honestly say it gets better and better. The training, the professionalism, the technical knowledge that they're bringing to bear. So this is like one of their graduation pictures.
Okay.
This is a sad moment we had during the year. Firefighter Sean Calvey, we lost to occupational cancer. It hit the division pretty hard. Sean was, I know it's cliche, but loved by all. The division really encircled his family, and even to this right now, they're providing for his
guy.
family. The administration was instrumental in providing for the death benefits, so this was a low point for us this year.
Yeah, and I attended his service out there at St. Ambrose, I believe it was.
Yes.
And I was just overwhelmed by the outpouring of individuals from not only his fire brothers and sisters, but just the general community who came out there. I was just overwhelmed seeing that large number of people. Very sad event, but again, his family was well supported, and I certainly appreciated that as a member of this body. So, okay,
Thank you.
Continue, Chief.
The next highlight is the division promoted 115 officers this year. These promotions were a long time in coming.
Yes.
The division had not had promotions of battalion chiefs or assistant chiefs since 2014, and it's been 2018, 2019 since we had lieutenants and captains. This was a culmination of a lot of work on the administration when they came in. They made it a priority. The public safety director and his administration pushing, Human Resource Department, Civil Service with Director Long. They did a phenomenal job in getting us across the finish line to do this, and it was greatly appreciated by the membership.
Okay.
One other, before I get to staffing levels, one other highlight that I forgot to include in here. Earlier this year, there were several media reports concerning our Fire Prevention Bureau and their inspections in high-rises.
Yes.
The media reports weren't specifically accurate, but they did highlight improvements that we could make in a division. And I know Councilwoman House earlier had talked about the divisions having specific goals. Starting this year, we had the specific goal of we wanted to get every high-rise in the city inspected. Prior to that, we were on a 2 to 3 year cycle. All the high-rises in the city
Yes.
would be inspected in 2 to 3 years. This is the first year, I believe, in the division's history where every high-rise in the city has had a Fire Prevention and Bureau general inspection, and they are now complete. We are also close to completing every school, every CMSD school this year. So
Okay.
we had made that a priority, and through Dave Telbin's work, it became reality.
You know, and I think that's very important because I know that, and I'm sure my ward is no different than anyone else, that most of my high-rise buildings or apartment buildings now are being bought by outside folks, by limited liability companies. And you know, not only when I say outside, I'm talking outside of the state. And on case, I have two that have been bought by folks outside of the country. So making sure that these buildings are inspected, and then there's proper follow-through if there are violations, I believe is very, very important. Schools, I've always maintained, are critical, and as you know, we in Collinwood have the unfortunate recognition of having the largest loss of children in a school fire. That's the historic Lakeview fire, now referred to as the Collinwood School fire. But, 172, I believe it was, children and rescuers perished in that largest loss of life in the history of the state of Ohio in a school. So I'm very mindful of the fact that we need to make sure, and I always appreciate your folks doing a once-a-year program out there to educate the kids as it pertains to what happened and the importance of smoke detectors in their own homes. So if any member of council was to request a report or a status of a specific school or high-rise, would you be able to give that to us as of when?
To the chair, yes, we could.
Yeah, so they're up to date?
To the chair, I'll bring in Dave Telbin. He
Okay.
also has some information he wanted to provide. on this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, to the chair, good afternoon. We started working with the CMSD about a year and a half ago. Dyke School was in a position where their alarm system fell apart.
Okay.
And we were able to work together and get the kids into a safe location and replace that, the alarm system for the building with a state-of-the-art system. Since that time, we started having quarterly meetings with the school board, with my team, and I told them I don't want to have another Dyke school. I want to know what's going on with the city schools ahead of time.
Right.
So we identified about 24 school buildings, not us, most of them were schools and a few of the maintenance garages. But to date, we've had 10 schools or 11 schools get completely new systems. That would be Dyke, Lewis Munoz Marin, A.A. Benish, Glenville, Michael R. White, Arnold Pinckney, which is now the East Pro building, Tremont, the Design Lab and Health Careers building, Charles Mooney, Clara Westrop, Woodland. Right now, East Tech, which is one of the largest schools we have, is being in full design for a new system there.
Yeah.
There is also Newton D. Baker, Kenneth Clement, Collinwood, and Valley View, Brooklawn, Denison, FDR, they're all pending, and they're doing their walkthroughs, preparing them for a design phase. So as East Tech gets done, they're still going to go down to the list, and there's a couple of the bus garages that are going to be replaced as well.
So are the systems there working now?
Yes.
Or they just need to be upgraded?
Well, what happened is, like at Dyke, the
Yes.
system was pretty much at end of life. And they actually had plans submitted, it just fell apart before they were able to replace it. So what we did was we went through all the schools to find out the condition of the alarms, and we took the oldest, worst scenarios, and we started to get those on the board to have them replaced, and we've made a lot of headway.
Okay.
And that's with cooperation with CMSD. They've done a great job working with us, and we've worked with them to make sure that
Okay.
everything gets moving along in a timely fashion.
So we can be assured right now, as we're being viewed, that all the schools within CMSD, within the Cleveland Metropolitan School District, their alarm systems are functioning.
Yes.
Okay, that's the key.
And we annually inspect all charter schools, private schools, and CMSD schools in the
Okay.
city.
Okay.
They get inspected yearly, and they have to receive a letter 16 so they can operate, and they can't get that without their
Okay.
passing fire inspection.
Okay. And again, I would hope that if there's a school or a charter, public, private, parochial that is not complying, that we need a member, the individual ward member needs to be aware of that,
Okay.
is aware. Okay. Continue.
Just the remainder is our staffing levels. For 2024, our budget headcount was 757 uniform and 13 civilian employees. As of September 30th, our count was 757 uniform and 13 civilian employees. We currently have no vacancies. And our 2025 approved positions, once again, 757 and 13. We have requested additional 2 civilian positions.
Okay. So you're at a full complement
As of this, we are at a full complement. Right now, we're at 756 because we just had a retirement.
Okay. I hope the Division of Police takes notice. Okay?
To the chair, we have.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. But here's my follow-up question. In light of the full complement, I noticed that there has been, let me see here, uniform personnel, uniform overtime is up. Can you indicate why?
Yes. Part of the uniform overtime overage is related to the approval of paid parental leave. Currently, from January to now, we have encumbered just over 20,000 hours in paid parental leave for employees. It's a very popular benefit. For first responders, it's invaluable. First responders are under a lot of mental stress.
Yes.
And when they're at the job, the last thing we want them to be worrying about is their family. So allowing to pay parental leave was a great benefit, but it did come at a cost. If I transfer that into actual dollars, that's about $1.3 to $1.4 million, 20,000 personnel hours.
Yes.
Another part of that overtime is our for our fire prevention inspectors who go out on life safety details for like Browns games, Indians games, festivals. There's a life safety detail that they go out that the city is reimbursed, fully reimbursed for that. That doesn't show in our operational budget. Currently, we're about $700,000
Right.
to date. So then that would take $2 million, combining that with the paid parental leave, that would take $2 million off of our overage now. And if you look at, that leaves about $1 million, 1.2 million. If you compare that to where we were 2, 3, 4 years going back, we are under where we were then.
Okay. On your, let me see here, let me look at, other supplies up substantially. What do you attribute that to? We have, right here, we're estimating a 515% increase.
Yes, our other supply line item are used for miscellaneous supplies. So this year, we used that for, we purchased those storage trailers that you see on the back of tractor trucks for our fire training academy because they ran out of storage space. So we felt that was an economical way to get them more storage space for their high-tech equipment that had to be locked up that we didn't have space for. We also purchased some washers and dryers, clothes washers and dryers for the fire stations to wash uniforms and just miscellaneous other equipment. If you look at the group that line item is in, you'll see that the group is still under budget. So we try to move monies between line items when we have a purchase need come up that we don't specifically have budgeting for.
Okay, and special events increase as well.
Our special events are related to our community events.
Okay.
Our ice cream socials have just gotten more popular and popular every year. This year, we also did the community event of the maternal and infant wellness event. For that event, I forgot to add that we could only put that event on due to the generosity of the Vanguards and Local 93, the
Okay.
Firefighters Union. They made financial donations so that we can put the event on because we didn't have specific
Yes.
funding for it. But the funding that we did have for it, it came out of that line item also.
Okay. Okay, as I've said publicly, and you've heard me say this because I've said this over the years, so it's nothing new. I've always maintained that we have one of the best fire departments in the country. I've always maintained that from the first time I came into city council, even though, as I've mentioned, when I came into city council, some of the equipment that we had was, I just shook my head, some of the fire apparatus that we had. And I and a small group of council members, we were determined that we were going to do what we could to upgrade the department. And I think we've done that over the years. So on that note, as it pertains to our fleet, how do we stand with regard to the fleet?
Our fleet, comparative to past years, is very good. The Bibb administration has made it a priority. In 2024, we received 3 new fire engines, 4 new fire trucks, 1 cargo van, 1 air supply truck, 1 SUV, and 3 battalion chief vehicles.
Yeah. With the support of council.
Yes.
You forgot that.
I'm sorry.
especially- Yeah, right.
Apologize.
With the support of council. Always remember that, okay. So is there anything else that you need from a standpoint of equipment, rolling equipment?
Our equipment needs are just our normal basic needs. The
Okay.
way we have a strategic replacement plan for our
Yeah,
fleet.
yeah.
So we give motor vehicle maintenance
Yeah.
our expectations on how long a new apparatus will last and when we expect to be
Okay.
requesting a replacement. So as these go on, motor vehicle maintenance is always aware of what we will be
Okay.
expecting to ask
Yeah.
for like the following year.
Okay. No, I've been concerned with the first responder because we're running fire trucks. And that puts a great deal of wear and tear on our vehicles, especially.
That is correct.
Especially ladder trucks. So, it's always been that long time ongoing discussion. Do we purchase or do we utilize smaller vehicles for that first responder program? And I'm thinking that's something that we need to continue to discuss internally. Do we buy a quote-unquote EMS-type vehicle that we would run out first? But that, again, that's an internal administration discussion. I don't want to be wearing out million-dollar pieces of apparatus running the first responder calls when maybe we could be doing something differently. Because I noticed in some of the surrounding suburbs, they do not run what I call first-line fire vehicles. They run a smaller unit for their EMS, for their first responder program. So I'll leave it at that. The other thing I wanted to mention, do we have any idea how many smoke detectors we have installed?
Yes, we do. I actually have that.
Do I? Let me-
Over from,
Got a stack here, so let me look. I don't see that. But then I got a stack for each division I've been going through here, so.
I just want to be sure. I got it.
While you're looking, I want to say to
No,
the.
I have it.
Okay,
To the chair, from January of this year to current, our public education unit and our suppression companies have installed 1,300 smoke alarms.
okay. And I want to say to the director, and this is something to be considered for the upcoming budget, I want to make sure that there is a line item or we are identifying funds for additional smoke detectors, but specifically combination smoke detectors, CO detectors. From this point on, we should not be installing just smoke detectors. It should be combination CO detectors as well. Because we know with many of the old homes, and with old furnaces, old hot water tanks, et cetera, we know that every year, unfortunately, we run into these cases where people are overcome with CO, carbon monoxide poisoning. So I just want to make sure as we go forward that that's what we're installing in the city of Cleveland.
That is correct, Chairperson. We recently, about 2 weeks ago, we announced a partnership with the Fire Museum.
Yes.
Where they are purchasing the combination detectors that you're speaking of. They're
Yes.
carbon monoxide and
Yes.
smoke alarms. And then they're going to donate them to the fire department so we can get them to the citizens for free.
But I want to make sure, Chief, that we're just not looking for somebody, a nonprofit, to step up, that we actually, where you have a line item, where if you need to buy these, you'll have the ability to do that.
To-
Because I think it's just common sense.
Right, through the chair. Yes, that's something that we discussed at one of the last
Okay.
meetings you mentioned before. So that's
Okay.
something that we are looking at for a line item.
Good, that's what I want to hear. Because I myself, I mean, I had a hot water tank go out to get replaced, and hot water tank went, but when the company came to replace it, the pipe that comes off the hot water tank into the chimney, they took that pipe off, and they said, look, and there was all these holes in it.
Right.
And he even said, did you ever smell anything in the house? I said, no, but I could not believe all the holes in the bottom of that pipe. But I guess because it was, the way it was directed, thank goodness we never got anything into the house, but that made me think, my goodness, I mean, that was carbon monoxide.
And through the chair, I'd just like to take this moment. It's important for all citizens to inspect their HVAC or
Yeah.
have a professional come inspect their
Right.
HVAC,
Yeah.
because over years, nothing will go specifically wrong, but this can become a serious danger to their
Right,
family.
Right. yeah.
So with that, we encourage everybody to contact our Red
Yeah.
Cross's hotline so that
Yeah.
they can put their name in. They will send the detectors to the fire stations that's local to their house, and we'll come out and install them for free.
Good.
That hotline number is area code 216-361-5535.
Recite that again in slow for the viewing public if they want a smoke detector,
If you want a smoke detector,
CO detector.
free of charge, firefighters will come out and install it. It is area code 216-361-5535. You will get an answering machine. You just leave your name, your address, and it asks you how many residents you have in your home.
Good, you can't, you know what, I tell people all the time, you can't beat that deal. You can't beat that deal, and as a result, hopefully we can save a life or lives of a family in the city, because with these old homes, old furnaces, old hot water tanks, all this stuff, we all know what we're dealing with. So on that note, I don't have any further questions. Again, I appreciate the Division of Fire. I appreciate invitations to your events and your different types of programs, et cetera. As I've indicated to the chief, to the director, in the years gone by, we always made available the council chamber for different programs. So don't think you just got to go over to the music hall or someplace else. The chamber is always available if you just coordinate with the clerk. And sometimes that's more effective because people can park here, especially when the weather gets bad. And we have the Channel 20 already set up in there, et cetera, et cetera. So the council chamber is always available to police, fire, EMS, and what other safety divisions, should you need them for special programming and recognition. So please be aware of that.
Thank you.
Okay, questions of the committee, of the chief. Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also is one of the same sentiment, Mr. Chairman, that you are. I believe that our fire department is a really great fire department. I've had an opportunity, I've expressed it before, to put on the equipment and to go up the ladder and to go into the hot house and to see all the smoke. And it really gives you a good insight on what our people do on a daily basis when they're going into fires. And so I really appreciate the fact that also, Mr. Chairman, and I've said this before concerning EMS, that the fire department is always there first. And some citizens, they may call the fire department and it may be another issue, but at least they got some service coming to them quick. And I've seen some of that too. And so, and it's because your response time is just absolutely incredible. Getting to the location and dealing with the situation is just absolutely outstanding. So I want to commend Mr. Chairman, the director, chief, for the good work that your department does for us here in the city of Cleveland. The issue I want to talk about is if I wanted to be a firefighter, or if a young person wanted to be a firefighter, how much does firefighter pay start out?
An entry-level firefighter pay starts out just above $68,000 a year.
So they start out with $68,000, and
Through
then
the chair to the councilperson, yes.
with the $68,000, how long are they on for before they get an increase?
Could you repeat that question?
How when they get on board at 68,000, how many years goes by if they're doing a good service, they get increase?
Through the chair to the councilman, a firefighter or an applicant for a firefighter will go to our fire training academy, and while they're in a training academy, they'll be paid $16.50 an hour.
You said $16.50 an hour for the training.
Yes.
Okay.
That will be approximately between 18 and 21 weeks.
Okay.
As soon as they graduate from the academy, they get the $68,000 per year salary.
Okay.
Every year after that, for the next 3 years, they'll get an automatic increase. It's a contractual increase because they progress through the apprenticeship program until they become a first grade firefighter.
And what is that increase?
I would have to look at the contract.
Do you have
to
a
see.
general idea?
It's usually between $900 to $1,300 a year.
Okay. So roughly about $1,000 increase for the next 3 years.
I would say yes.
And then, in terms of after the 3 years, if they're there for 10 years, how much is a firefighter getting paid after about 10 years of work?
After they reach their full apprenticeship level, then they are eligible for the contractual increases that Local 93 would negotiate with the city.
So that's in
During
the
every
3-year
contract.
period, after they got past that 3-year period?
Yes,
So then
that's
they
correct.
come into the full authority of what the pay could be?
Yes.
How much is that?
Currently,
Mm-hmm.
you know what the current? I'd have to get that
You'll get-
back to
Do
you.
you
We'll
got
make that
a
request.
rough preliminary estimate? You don't have to be on point.
I don't. Through chair to the council person, I really would rather not.
I know
put out.
he's got to know. I know
No.
he's smart. You know what it is, Mr. Chairman, to the
They'll-
distinguished
they'll-
gentleman?
they'll get it.
Ideal?
They'll get us the information.
No one has that?
I would say yeah, high 70s.
High 70, about
Yeah.
$78,000? Okay. So they get like maybe an additional 10,000. All right, so about 79, maybe 80,000. All right. And then after they're there for 10 years, because that's after 3 years, 10 years, how much do they usually get an increase? What is it based on then?
Through the chair to the council person, the increases after that are based on the contractual increases that are negotiated by the collective bargaining unit.
And what is that? Is it percentage or what?
Those contractual increases can vary from anywhere from 2% up to 4%.
Of their
per year.
annual pay?
Yes.
I see. And so then, Mr. Chairman, does the fire department have overtime?
Yes.
To chair, to council member, yes.
And do all the firefighters get an opportunity to get overtime?
Through the chair to the council person, yes.
And so with the overtime, how much can a firefighter make being a firefighter in the city of Cleveland?
Through the chair
on
to
average?
through the chair to the council person, a firefighter can make upwards of $100,000.
So he
through
can make
overtime.
6 figures.
Through the chair to the council, yes.
Is that when I ask the question, because sometimes some folks have to work so long to get the 6 figures, it's a heck of a job they got to do. So is this, when we talk about $100,000, this is with his base salary, and then is it as much overtime he or she can endure?
Through the chair to the council person, overtime is based on our operational need. So that goes back to our 24-hour staffing and our mandate to have fully staffed units. So all the firefighters will place their name, they call them in the overtime rounds, and the overtime is distributed by round. So every firefighter will get a chance to get an overtime shift in that round. And then once they go through the entire personnel list, you go to the second round, and then you get another chance.
I see. And what is the breakdown of the firefighters in terms of sex and race?
Currently, through the chair to the council person, currently we have, well, like I said, we have 756 uniform right now, 13 civilians. As far as breakdown by racial, we have 103 black firefighters, 589 white, 60 Hispanic, and 4 that they didn't make a determination. They didn't put down a determination of their
You
specific
said
race.
69 Hispanics?
60.
Oh, 60 Hispanics. And then the other ones didn't know what they were?
They didn't list their racial
Yeah.
determination on our paperwork.
I see. And with recruitment, how do we do recruitment?
Recruitment is administered through the Department of Public Safety. We detail 2 of our firefighters to that unit, and they attend community events, college campuses. They talk to military recruiters. They make phone calls. I refer just citizens in the community to come to me. I always refer them to our recruitment unit. Since the recruitment unit has reported to the Department of Public Safety, that's like 4 to 5 years ago they did that. It's a lot more organized. Before, it was ran within a division, and it was a little bit ad hoc because we didn't have a specific person for recruitment. Public education would do it. Some individuals that were interested would do it. But now we have specific individuals that I can refer them to, and they can make follow-up.
I see. And so right now, we're at full capacity with the department at this moment in time.
Through the chair to the councilperson, yes.
Are you looking to, how many people are looking to be retired out? What's that number?
Through the chair to the council, I would have to get you that exact number. We separate approximately 30 to 40 people per year.
And then, and those are about roughly your retirements, right? On an average of a
Through the
year?
chair to the council, yes, that is correct.
And then and you replace them through a constant recruitment program?
Through the chair to the council, yes.
I see. And so then, so we're looking at least maybe 30 or 40 people retiring this year. And we're full staff right now. So it seems like your recruitment plan is on point, keeping the levels where it need to be.
Through the chair to the council, we can always have improvements. In recent years, we've had a focused effort to recruit females to the fire division because it is an occupation that sometimes females don't see themselves in. Over the past 5 to 6 years, we've brought in 16 female firefighters, which is outstanding because we went for a series of years where we had no females on the department. Every recruitment class over those years, we have at least one female firefighter in a recruitment class.
And then how old can you be to be a firefighter?
18 years old, sir.
How old?
You have to be 40 years or under at the time of hiring.
Okay, so if you're 50, it's too late.
It's through the chair to the council. It's too late for Cleveland. There are places that will hire you.
You can't apply, you're right.
So then let me ask this question. How old can you be to stay on the firefighter force? I mean, once you're in, how old are you?
Through the chair to the council, we have a mandatory retirement age of 65.
It's mandatory?
There's a mandatory retirement
Even
age.
if they're strong, got muscles, can do the same thing as a young person can do, they still have to retire?
Through the chair to the council, that is true. There is a clause where individuals at 65 that wish to continue the career can apply for an age extension waiver.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of variables that go in that approval process. But currently, I think we have 2 to 3 people that have applied for waivers and have been granted.
And they have worked, it worked out for them?
Through the chair to the council, yes.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I
Okay.
have. I just
Thank
want to say, Chief, you're doing a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. Councilwoman Gray.
I just have maybe a couple questions about your service to the community is really impeccable, and I have to agree with my colleague that the firefighters are first on the scene all the time. Not even one truck, we get 2 sometimes, so that's impeccable. But my question is to the burning houses that get caught on fire. Could you tell me the process and procedure on when a house get caught on fire, and then you put the X on it, of course, but what is the demolition process that you work with building housing to get that house tore down? Because many of these houses now, I guess in other wards too, I can say in the ward that I'm in, we have a lot of arson. Whether how the arson happens, I can't say, but a lot of houses are now, are being burnt down because of that. I don't know, due to squatters or just vandalism per se in that aspect, and then you put the X on it, of course, because it's too damaged for anyone to attempt to go back in it. But what is the process with building housing to get that house tore down? Because it's an eyesore. Now, the yellow tape is around the house, but it's sitting there wide open in the community, and people are calling about, because, I can say years ago, that house used to be tore down immediately, maybe within 30 days. But now the houses are just there the X amount of time. So just the question, Chair, to the table, what is the process with building housing to get a house that's been burnt up and just sitting there in the community?
Through the chair.
Chief, I would say that, because the Councilwoman Gray brings up a very valid point. All of us have these structures that are fire damaged. I have one right by my church, and there it sits, and building and housing so often says that does not warrant a condemnation, but yet the place is burnt. And there it sits, and they sit like forever, and nobody can figure out why these properties, and we have them all over the city. So to the viewing public, explain the process where maybe people can understand.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, when you have a fire in a residential structure, we'll come on scene, do our work, extinguish the fire. The incident commander, which is the senior officer on the scene, then makes a determination, can this house still be inhabitable?
Okay. I gotcha.
If the incident commander determines the house cannot be safely, have people safely in it, they will make what we call a demolition request. That demolition request goes directly to building housing with some caveats. If that fire is a fire of a suspicious nature and we have our arson investigation unit go out to investigate, that house cannot be torn down until that investigation is complete. So it may take some time for that investigation to complete because the house is deemed as evidence. But if it's not, we'll make what we call a forthwith demolition request that directly goes over to building housing. They send their assessors out to determine, if they agree with us, how long it's going to take to tear it down or anything like that. If the incident commander determines that there is damage to the structure, but it still can be habitated, it still goes to building housing, but it goes over there for an inspection. It could be an electrical inspection, a structural inspection. Every day in the morning, we send a list to building housing of the fires that have occurred in the past 24 hours. And that's basically for them to send an inspector out to see if the electrical system in the house needs to be worked on or whatever. So that's kind of in a nutshell how it works. If you have any houses in your ward that are fire damaged, or just any houses in your ward that it might not be fire damaged, but you feel are structurally a hazard to your ward, you can always call us. We'll send one of our battalion chiefs out, and they'll make an assessment. And if it needs to be torn down, they'll do the same thing. They'll send a forthwith demolition request, or if it just needs to be referred to building housing, we'll refer it to building housing. When we have fires at these structures, we try to leave the structure as the area, the yard around it, as clean and safe as we can, because we don't want to have the debris out in the yard and the sidewalk and say kids come walking by and get cut or something. So if you see a structure that's been damaged by fire and you feel, well, the yard could be cleaned up a bit, even if you can't tear down the house, once again, just give us a call. We'll send some crews out and we'll take care of it.
That's a great answer. That is a great process and procedure that now I understand what needs to be done. But who can I reach out to, which a senior officer that I can reach out to send a list of fire structures that have been sitting for maybe the last couple of years. At least one of them, 12904 Holborn Avenue, was set on fire before I came in office. And I know that one has been investigated to see what will happen to that one, because a lot of residents on the street are still waiting for the answer for that particular one. And I know I had got some answers on that one a year and a half ago, but it's still there. It's still there, and nothing has happened to it. And I know it has really a high back taxes on it, and I know you guys don't have anything to do with that. I apologize, Chair, to the team. I know you have anything to do with the back taxes, so that could be one of the reasons why it's still not been torn down, because that's a building housing and a housing appeals issue. But still, if I can get some update on that 12904 on your aspect of what you sent to building housing on your half, and then I can work with them on their half, of what they're doing with that particular one. And but now, since I know about your process procedure, it's one right off 116th and Buckeye, right across from Chili's store. Just recently got caught on with somebody was arson, and they just that was just sitting there in the wide open around empty lots. Everything on that corner, everything in that space from 116th and Forest to 116th and Parkview, it's all empty lots, and there's one house just there, and someone set it on fire, and it got yellow tape around it, and it's just there, and it's awful. And I know that one's coming down. But if you can send me, the person that I need to contact, and then I can just send a couple of addresses to that single person in charge, and then they can they can reply to me, so I can know, the status on these particular two houses that's an eyesore, and everyone has been calling me on.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, the quickest way that you can send is just send it directly to me.
Okay, what's your email address? Did I send it?
Yeah, I can give you my card
Okay,
before
give
we
me your
leave.
card.
But
Okay,
yeah, if you
thank
send it to me, I'll always direct it to the person, and they'll immediately get back to you.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
And I'll follow up on this 12904 Holborn Avenue. Yep.
Thank you, Council Lady, for keeping time as well. Councilman Jones, you briefly wanted to mention something?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Since I have the chief here, we had a problem some years ago with the closing of the gas station at DeForest and Lee Road. And at the time, it was left open, and it was an abandoned gas station. And there was talk about the tanks needing to be secure and all of that. I've since then talked to another person who was telling me that when they did the inspections, I guess presumably they were about to purchase it or something like that, that one of their issues was that it was leaking. And so I don't know if you could go and take a look into that gas station on DeForest and Lee Road. Right now, it's allegedly there's a sign up there trying to sell it, and so they were trying to sell it off to this person for $300-some thousand. And he only wanted to just get the one, but they tried to encumber him with the other one too. Mm-hmm. So it's the same people. I think they're bad players in our market space. They don't clean that gas station up. I've had to go out there personally and clean it up myself and weed whack the weeds back, just so that it looks nice. And then when we got the new administration in, thank God, then the city has been coming out under Mr. Frank Williams and has cleaned it up several times actually for illegal dumping and all the other stuff that they've been doing there at that place. So can we follow up on that and really push this initiative so that we can get some movement here?
Through the chair to the council person, I believe that's the same location that you referred to us at the last hearing we was here, and I believe the Lieutenant Telvin has some information for you.
Go ahead.
Okay, I contacted Assistant Law Director David Roberts, who's in charge of code enforcement. I did have some information on that location. They also own the one on 7910 Harvard as well. Right. And I gave him all our information that we had up to this point, and he's investigating it right now. I spoke with him this morning for an update, I'm anticipating your question. And he said at the present time they're going through their process. If you have any questions, feel free to give him a call and he'll go over everything with you. But there is something in the motion for that location on DeForest and Lee. It's not gone unnoticed. But if they're saying there's leaking in it, we had it tested before with EPA. I'll contact my counterpart at Ohio EPA, and I will have him go out and take a look. I know a lot of the site wells have been filled because we didn't want children to fall in them. because they were stealing the caps.
Right.
So as far as being able to go down into it, I don't know how well the EPA can do that, but I'll discuss that with him after our meeting today, and I will push the ball forward, and I'll keep you posted.
Thank
Great.
you.
And then we'll work together on that, because then that way I'll connect you into the person who has a lot of information and detail on it.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the Division of Fire? Again, Director, the smoke detector COO, we will want to see a line item for that, CO detectors. I'm going to get you an address, in fact, that I've been dealing with one of these fire damaged places, and which I can understand. All of us have the same problem, which we don't get for the life of us.
Chairperson, one thing I just wanted to add, several times it was mentioned our response time, like versus EMS response time.
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit of a misnomer. Our relationship with EMS, we're part of a system. They
That's
call
right.
it like a chain of survival,
Yep.
getting to the emergency room. So when you see either a fire truck show up first, it's not that we are beating EMS to the scene, it's we are part of the system, and then EMS is coming to support us and
Yes.
transport the patient.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make that clear, because I constantly hear that. It's like fire versus EMS.
No, it's not.
We're part of a system, and the system works
Yeah,
when we're
right.
working together like that.
And that's why we we lobbied, including myself, for years to make sure we had paramedics on the fire trucks, so we could have that partnership with fire and EMS. It's all about service. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. Thank you, Chief
misunderstood.
and team,
Thank you.
for being here.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks, Chief.
EMS.
Thanks, Chief. Yes, sir. Thanks, Captain.
Commissioner Wheeler, welcome to the table with your team.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, tell us a little bit about EMS,
All right, we're going to have
their PowerPoint.
Commissioner Wheeler, who will go through the PowerPoint.
All right. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Well, so good afternoon, council.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to have DC Christopher Chapin with the presentation.
Thank you. Deputy Chief, the floor is yours. Proceed.
All right, good afternoon. Like you said, I'm Deputy Commissioner Christopher Chapin. EMS is continuing on a good path for improvement for the next year. Our mission, we are committed to improving quality of life in the city of Cleveland by maintaining the highest ethical and professional standards for pre-hospital care, treating our patients with dignity and respect, and caring for each patient as if they were a member of our own family. At our core, the Division of EMS is tasked with responding to, providing treatment, and transporting victims of medical and traumatic emergencies.
Yes.
In order to fulfill our mission of improving the quality of life and maintaining the highest ethical and professional standards, we provide community outreach and education and health screenings, which I will get into later in the presentation. We also provide our own continuing education for our personnel in order to maintain certifications and work beyond that to ensure that we are providing the most up-to-date and advanced care.
Okay.
Last year, we were in front of this committee. We stated that we wanted to bring our staffing levels up to the budgeted level, improve our fleet status, and expand on community education and outreach. Since that time, the lateral transfer program, which was instituted by Commissioner Wheeler, has shown great results and continues to make positive strides for the division by attracting new employees with previous experience. We have 25 new employees since the last time we were here that have completed the initial training and have begun working shifts. 23 of those new employees are paramedics. We currently have 6 new EMDs or dispatchers in the initial training phase, and we are currently in the process of hiring a civilian to EMT class of 12, in addition to 1 paramedic who resigned and is in the process of coming back to the division.
Okay.
These additions will bring the division up to a total of 301 employees, which is 3 away from our budgeted staffing levels. We currently have 2 EMD openings and 1 EMT or paramedic opening, and that's due to a recent resignation. In 2023, we deployed 11 new ambulances, and in 2024, we continued that with 2 new ambulances and a supervisor vehicle. We currently are scheduled to receive 2 additional ambulances and another supervisor vehicle this year. That will be 20 new ambulances deployed since 2022, which puts our fleet in great shape. In addition to all of the new ambulances have the power load system, which enables safe loading and unloading of patients with minimal strain on the crew.
Okay.
We have also done well expanding our community education. This year, we have instructed over 900 people in CPR classes, from certified CPR classes to hands-only. In addition, we have provided stop-to-bleed training for over 150 people. We are continuing to expand our community education program with an effort to dramatically expand our stop-to-bleed training while continuing the CPR program. We want to continue expanding our patient outreach efforts, continuing to work with our healthcare partners, while also improving more to a hands-on outreach effort. We are pursuing adding home visits and eventually a community paramedicine program. We also want to continue and expand on our efforts with victims of opioids and substance abuse. We are working with multiple agencies in an effort to bridge gaps that there may be in serving those in this community.
Okay.
The division is in planning stages of establishing a whole blood program. We have done research and found that it has had great success in other urban areas that are similar to the city of Cleveland, and we believe it will be a positive addition to our scope of treatment. In addition to whole blood, we are implementing the use of ventilators on all of the ambulances. Ventilators will provide artificial respirations at an appropriate rate and tidal volume, allowing the paramedics to focus on other procedures while caring for and treating patients.
Okay.
Beyond that, the ventilators will replace our current continuous positive airway pressure, or CPAP devices, and they will also have the ability to assist ventilations of those who are inadequately breathing. Our current budgeted headcount is 304 personnel. As of today, we are at 290. We have 2 vacancies at dispatch and 13 in the field. As I stated earlier, we anticipate on filling the field vacancies with the civilian EMT class, which will start in early November. Also, I wanted to mention that in September, we had our first paramedic class in partnership with University Hospital graduate 15 students. All of these students were part of our last civilian to EMT class, and they have received all of their EMS training from Division of EMS staff. We are very proud of the work that we have done and the direction that we are heading in the future.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Let me hit on a few points and then open up for questions. With regard to staffing, so I attended your last swearing-in ceremony, and I was trying to think how many laterals you had at that event. Do you recall, Commissioner?
To the chair, we had 6 laterals at that time.
Okay, so the proposed budget, you're proposing to go to 315, correct, in this upcoming
To
budget?
the chair, correct.
You believe you can get there?
To the chair, that's correct. I do.
Okay. Because this is a very important area for council. As some of you are aware, the EMS was created as a result of Cleveland City Council action many, many years ago. I just came in when EMS was just still in its infancy. It had just been created, I don't know, 2 years before me or whatever it was. So it was something that the council felt very strongly about, and so we've been strong advocates and supporters of EMS ever since. So Commissioner telling us you're going to work to try to get to 315. With regard to rolling stock, where are we with the overall condition of the fleet?
To To the chair, we're in great condition, great shape right now. As Deputy Commissioner Chapin mentioned, that over the past 2.5 years, we've placed 20 new ambulances,
Thanks to City Council.
thanks to City Council
Right.
and the BIB administration.
Thank
It's
you.
it's a
Mostly
joint
City
effort.
Council.
That's right. Never forget that. Never forget those words.
Absolutely.
Okay, because, it was City Council who fought for the bigger units, what we call the heavy-duty units, because we did a white paper report. In fact, I commissioned it in the 80s, and we recommended the heavier built, more sophisticated units because the units had bought were, in my opinion, nothing but junk prior to that, and were breaking down all the time. So, do we have spares?
To the chair, correct. We have, I tried to keep a rolling 10 spare ambulances that are in fair condition.
Good. And I commend you. We want to continue to keep that. We want to continue to have a fleet of spares just in case, because you never know what could happen. So I want to make sure your fleet of spares is well-maintained as well, because they're very important for us.
Yes, Chair.
Go ahead.
NVM Works, they do a phenomenal job
Okay.
at keeping our spares up and operating, as well as making sure our front lines
Okay.
are maintained properly.
Okay, so as it pertains to CPR training, there was a time, and I want to mention this, that we used to have CPR training right here in this very room. I would hope that you would schedule that again with the clerk of council for council staff and anybody from the administration who would like to participate in that.
To the chair, we have reached out through our community education department and working with Mr. Mangan and risk management to ensure that everyone at City Hall has the opportunity for Stop the Bleed, CPR,
Okay.
AED.
Okay. Well, again, I would ask you to contact the clerk's office here and coordinate that so we can have that take place again. I thought it was very helpful. The problem with CPR, unless you're constantly doing it or taking the training, you forget what to do properly. And so I can't recall the last time we had it here. But a large number of council members and staff participated in it. So again, I would ask, again, to coordinate that with the clerk's office so we can have that. Okay, we got the head count. What is the starting pay for EMT?
To the chair, the starting pay during training is $16.50, and EMTs top out roughly about $52,000.
Okay. Paramedics?
Paramedics, they top out roughly, before anything else, about just under 73,000.
Okay. And again, as we talk about recruitment, obviously you're having success in your recruitment, which I commend you all on, you and fire. We got some work to do in police, but in EMS and fire, we're getting somewhere, which is important. So I just have a couple questions, and then I'm open up to my colleagues. Under clothing allowance, it's increased 179%. What do you attribute that to?
The chair, that increase is due to retroactive payments for the collective bargaining agreements of CARE and CWA.
Okay. Office supplies is up 147%. What do you attribute that to?
Chair, that was due to the increase in the number of administrative staff and just the amount of activities we were doing on a regular basis compared to the last budget.
Okay. Let me see what else I have here on my plate here. Clothing allowance. I think that would be it from my perspective. Oh, travel's up 123%. What do you attribute that to?
Chair, that was mainly attributed to the fact that we had some new positions that needed training.
Okay.
And I went to 2 conferences to initiate the whole blood program, which will reduce traumatic-related deaths.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, members of the body, any questions of EMS? Yes, Councilman Gray.
As Chair, this is something that may not be off, but I need to know, when your EMS trucks go out, I don't know if it's with the EMS or with the police, I just had a text come in, bear with me if I can read it, because I don't know how to assist this person who said that she needed some help with one of her patients in the group home. Do EMS assist with that, or do the police officers assist with that directly?
To the chair of council,
Director.
member Gray. Yeah, the Division of Police will not, well, they will assist, but that's not their primary responsibility in those particular cases. And Commissioner Wheeler can comment on that. That's more of a EMS medical function versus a police-related function.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I just read it just a little bit?
Sure.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. This is a place called Rita Place. It's an independent mental health facility.
Use your microphone, dear, we can't hear you. Put it on.
Okay, thank you, Chair. This place, she just texted me, and just right on time, too. It's called Rita Place. It's an independent mental health facility. It's on East 119th off of Kinsborough. It's a group home. She said it's a patient, 80 years old, said that she said the family member called the guardian of Shirley. She worked on the pink slip for her removal to take her to get emergency medical treatment. Said Asia called 4th District Police on 93rd at on October 22nd at 4, no show. Called them back same day, no show. October 23rd, 9 a.m., called them back. They said they have her ticket, so they are still coming. It's now 2:30, no show. Calling back or going there to get no help. So so when she texted me, I explained to her that I don't know the procedure of how that works with, with a patient getting help. I'm not aware of how the pink slip, how the guardian have to call for the pink slip to get the patient removed by EMS or police. I wasn't quite sure of the procedure, but now since I'm at the table, I don't know how to respond to it, but thank goodness I'm here at the table to see how this person can get the help to get this person removed per se, to get more, medical assistance. Thank you.
Care to
Through the
comment?
chair to Councilmember Gray, as you were reading, I was trying to make sure I understood what the ask is of that person. You mentioned a couple things in there. You mentioned the pink slip, which EMS does not deal with, and we're talking about that's terminology we use in the Division of Police, or the Division of Police use relative to someone that may be in some type of mental crises, and then we could involuntarily, based on their crises, involuntarily take them to a hospital for psychiatric assistance. But you mentioned with the pink slip also medical attention. So I want to make sure that, what do they mean by medical attention? Do they mean psychological evaluations? And that's generally not EMS. Now, if the person is in some type of a crisis, a medical crisis, and the Division of Police is called, there's a possibility there's medical issues as well, then we may call for EMS to assist us to get that particular person, based on their medical condition, to a hospital to be evaluated. And then from there, they can seek psychological assistance as well. So I'm not quite sure. Again, there's two things going on there. But if you're talking about someone being evaluated for mental or psychological issues, that's more of a police response, our co-response, our first responders, and so forth. And again, if that person needs to be transported for a medical condition, then we will call Division of Police, we'll call EMS for transport relative to the medical condition.
So if you could have somebody maybe take a look at that for the council lady.
Sure.
So we can move on. Is there any other questions? Councilman Kelly, you had a question?
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. I know you said you got about, let me see, 20-plus ambulances from 22. Just out of curiosity, what's the longevity, the average life of a new ambulance?
Whoever can answer.
Through the chair to Councilman Kelly, the average expectancy of an ambulance is roughly, depending on the location, is roughly about 10 years.
Okay. Thank you for that, and, through the chair, and thank you for taking care of the fair ones, too. Appreciate it.
And to the chair, to Councilman Kelly, and they run them pretty hard.
Yeah.
You know, they had some really high miles. I want to make sure you understand that if it's 10 years, we run them really hard. And again, that's a testament to motor vehicle maintenance and their ability to keep these wagons moving.
And that's why we went to the diesels, because of the previous things we had were not lasting anywhere near as long.
Through the chair, thank you all again. Just a quick thought, though. How about the speed bumps? How's that affecting your people?
Speed tables.
Speed tables.
Through the chair to Councilman Kelly, the speed tables, I can't say it's had a huge impact because now they're labeled. I remember driving down East 82nd, just south of Superior. And this was before the signs went up. And I was in my SUV, and it was pretty jarring. But just knowing that they're there and they're labeled,
Yep.
then we could use proper caution to get over those speed tables.
Yeah, they need to label them better, and they need to use Day-Glo paint. And that's been a great concern when I've been raising that issue. They're not adequately identified, and they should have better paint markings on them. Because again, if you're not paying attention and the weather's bad or it's raining, you might not see them, and that's the concern. That's why, I don't know if that's why the care union reached out to us or not, the members of council about that, so.
To the chair, those speed tables, I have noticed that they have done a significant job with reducing the speeds on these side streets.
That's right.
And the fact that we now know where they're located.
Yes.
That's helped us out.
Yep, thank you. Okay, without any further ado, EMS is done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And always remember it, with council support. All right.
Absolutely.
Of course.
With council
you'll
support,
remember.
yes.
With council support.
And to say the least, you guys.
Animal
also do
control.
you know what, you guys are also on time, along with the fire trucks, okay? Just want to throw that out there. You're impeccable, too. Y'all work hand in hand, we know that. I just want to throw
Okay.
it out there. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, director and assistant director.
Thank you, Chair. Joining us at the table now is Manager Bruce Campbell, Animal Care Control. He has a PowerPoint presentation that he's going to go through.
Okay.
Then we'll answer any questions you may have.
Continue. What is your official title now?
It is currently manager.
Manager, okay. Manager of Animal Control.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Proceed.
Right. Thank you for having us here today, Chairman and council members. We're going to go over a few things with Animal Care and Control, our mission statement, and some of the other accomplishments we've had.
Yes, sir.
Our mission statement is the City of Cleveland Division of Animal Care and Control to protect the safety of our residents by impounding stray dogs and nuisance wildlife, promote responsible pet ownership through enforcement of city ordinances, pet identification, and animal adoption. Our three programs are Animal Control, which we enforce the city ordinance, respond to complaints from citizens for stray, vicious, and nuisance dogs.
Yes.
We place all the adoptable animals into responsible homes, rescue organizations, and animal shelters, and some foster homes as well. And then our nuisance animal program, which runs April through, we're just getting ready to wrap that up this year. So went over our mission statement. I go over some of our successes. I think I'd be remiss. We have great vehicles. We have a great facility. Thanks to City Council and the administration for giving us that great kennel. But what makes the division really stand out are the people, the workers that work
I'm
at the
glad you
kennel.
noticed that. Right.
It's the people at the kennel that step up every single day, no matter what's going on in the kennel, and our volunteers. We have over 200 volunteers, and after being here a year, I can tell you, without the volunteers, we wouldn't be able to deliver the level of service to these animals. Their passion and compassion for these animals is unwavering. And then our fiscal partners, our Friends of City Dogs, they're a 501c3 that support a lot of medical supplies for dogs, some of the costs for medications for dogs that are in foster care with some of our volunteers. Right now, we have about 30 dogs in foster care with our volunteers. So between our volunteers and our staff, that's what really makes the division a great division to work in. Right now, our current live release rate is 74%. Actually, that number came down a couple percent. The higher that percentage, the better. That's really explained by the percentage of dogs adopted, returned to their owner, pulled by rescue, the number of dogs that leave the kennel under some circumstance. So this year, so far, and again, this runs from January to the end of September, we've reunited 832 dogs with their owners. We've adopted out 607 dogs and adopted or put out the rescue pulls. We work with a lot of different animal rescues that pull dogs from our kennel to get them adopted. The kennel's not a place we want dogs to spend a lot of time. We want them out to rescues. We ultimately want them into a great home, a forever home. So we've had 896 rescue pulls. We do get odd animals. That includes farm animals, and I just add that because we've gotten a pig this year, seagulls, some various birds, rabbits, all kinds of different things in the city, some snakes, and different things that we get out to rescues, and other places will get these animals adopted. We've had 285 new court cases. And kind of getting back to our volunteers, we have 226 volunteers that have donated, because we track this, 20,269 hours of their time. Whether they come in 1 day a week, 1 hour a month, or we have people that come 7 days a week, every hour counts, and we appreciate every minute that they donate. We have spayed 639 dogs, spay and neutered, treated 11 dogs for heartworm. And we've done, and this is something we want to do more as we're getting our staffing up, but we've collaborated with some of our partners. We collaborated with the APL, where we did a vaccine and microchipping clinic. We did one on the CMHA property on the west side. We did 2 on the east side at the Salvation Army for city residents to get a free microchip for their dog. Friends of City Dogs purchased those microchips. Some were purchased by the city. But at the microchipping events, we microchipped 100 dogs at each of one of those on the east side. The significance of that is that if we ever get those dogs stray or loose, all of our officers carry a chip scanning device. And they're always put in the same place where we put them in and scan. So if we find a dog in the road, out on the street, we can scan a chip. If they are chipped, we can get them back to their home, back to their owner.
What Salvation Armies did you do that at?
You know what? It was actually, I think, right on the border of East Cleveland. I don't have the address off the top of my head.
Okay,
but
if you could let us know, because I'd like you to, maybe rotate that around, various other sections of the city, because I think that's important to do that, the microchipping.
And that was important. We wanted to get on the east side because that's
Were you
busier
able
on
to
the
do
east
that
side.
with general fund dollars, or how were you able to do that?
I think we used some of our funding, but the Friends of City Dogs
Okay,
funded some of that.
okay.
So then we have done a couple of animal control officers went into schools, and we've done some programs on responsible pet ownership from a young age.
How many animals did you have to put down?
For that first part of the year. Let me get to that. It's coming up further.
Oh, you do, because I didn't see it in.
Well, I have a hand note written down in
Okay.
here, and it's coming up further. We can get into that in a second, or we'll get into it right now, since you asked. So this is a big number, and it's a little
Oh, yeah.
shocking to folks, but it's from January to September 30th. We euthanized 824 dogs. I think what's really important to remember is that we're averaging intake 350 dogs a month.
A month?
A month.
Wow.
That's our average intake. Yes, also something that's super important to keep in mind is that we're an open intake shelter. We take in, we never close our doors. There's shelters and there's animal
Yes.
shelters. They get full, they close the doors. We don't. We provide a service to our residents, and we're never closed. We take in a lot of really sick, abused, abandoned dogs that the humane thing to do is to euthanize those
Yes.
dogs. There's no way they can be cured. I have a couple videos on my phone that I could show you that happened this week, but how we find dogs in containers or stuffed in garbage bags that are still living, but their chance of survival for a good home is
Well,
very low.
and we know the animal, and specifically the dog problem in the city, is a people problem.
Exactly.
That's the reality.
Exactly.
It's not, and so I'll get into that in a moment, so continue your presentation.
So that's just a service, that we
Yes.
owe the residents, so we never close it,
Yes.
and that's what we do. It's the right thing to do.
Yes.
It's never wrong to do the
Okay.
right thing. One of our other really cool programs that we work on that we were talking about on our successes is the Marion Seltzer School right around the corner from the kennel. We have a group
Yeah.
called the Pup Star Readers. They come out to the kennel. It's a group of children that come out and they compete in their school to come out and
Yeah.
they read to the dogs. And it's really a cool program. The dogs just calm down and the volunteers clean the kennel spotless so these kids can sit in front of
Yes.
the kennel and read to the dogs. It's really a great program. Moving on, our division diversity, currently we had staff as September 30th of 26 full-time, 5 part-time. That's 22 females, 9 males. Our breakdown of our demographics
Yes.
is 87%
Yes.
white, 10% black, 3% Hispanic. And we break it down further by age group as well.
Yes, keep going.
Staffing levels, we're budgeted in 2024 for 33 full-time, 11 part-time. We sat here last year, I'd been here maybe a month, and I think we had probably 13 to 15 positions that were open. With the support of Director Drummond and the team he's put together and the people that work in safety admin for the first time since anyone can remember, even Chief Barrett himself, who's been around longer than anybody historically for animal care and control, we have filled a number of positions. We filled the Chief ACO position, replacing John Baird. That person's going to start in November when they relocate to the Cleveland area. We're able to hire a full-time shelter operations manager, full-time adoption coordinator, a part-time adoption coordinator, chief clerk, full-time junior clerk.
Okay.
And on top of that, currently have 6 candidates that have accepted positions or various stages of the hiring
Okay.
process. So that puts us almost at full staff right now. We're maybe down 1 or 2 more positions. So we will be fully staffed, which we're really happy about because that'll allow us to do the other things that we want to do
Yes.
in the community. And it will give some relief to the people that have been really stepping up this past year with our personnel shortages and the influx of animals.
And you're looking at 2025 for 39. huh?
Yes, sir, and that's a couple more animal care workers, a couple
Good.
more junior clerks. The
Yeah.
animal care workers are the people that work inside the clinic, and
Yeah.
every day they start their day feeding 150 or so dogs, and
Okay.
sanitizing kennels and cleaning. And one more full-time ACO would put us at full staff, and then
Okay.
we already did get approval. We traded out some part-time positions for a full-time afternoon shift supervisor.
Okay, keep
So-
going.
Some of the numbers are calls for service. These are matched up with the previous year, the same
Yep.
date and time. We're at 9,061. We've impounded 4,500 animals, outcomes of 4,563. We've also picked up quite a number of wildlife this year, more so than last year. That's including with our contractor Critter Control of 2,002 animals, wildlife that were trapped and brought back to the kennel. Again, this is just through September, so Critter Control had said at that point in time, 168 traps. They trapped and removed 735 animals. Our animal control officers removed 1,267 animals, raccoons, groundhog, possum, for a total of 2,002 animals.
So what's your is it more groundhogs or what?
Yeah, I would say groundhogs
Okay.
are we did 510 groundhogs, and Critter Control did 170. Critter Control does the skunk, so they had a high number of those.
Yeah.
We don't have the capacity to do skunk.
Okay, gotcha, okay,
So yeah, it's the groundhog is the biggest nuisance that people have a problem with.
yes.
Real quickly, some of the more standout statistics, if you can, you're looking at this, we're on track to exceed 10,000 calls for service, which is an increase. We've seen an increase in our
Yeah.
total animal intake. But what an odd number is, and I think maybe the market's saturated, but we've saw a decrease in adoptions, a 16% decrease in the amount of dogs being adopted. We've worked with we've held multiple reduced fee events this year where we host a weekend-long adoption event, reducing the fee to $21. We've partnered with social media accounts with the police department, the fire department. The fire chiefs come out taking some pictures with dogs. Some police officers have come out. It's working out because everybody loves the fire department. They look at their website and their
Right.
social media. So we're just trying to get the word out there that one of our tagline is we have great dogs from our great city. And that's what we want people to be aware of, is increasing that awareness that we have a lot of great dogs that can be adopted here at the kennel.
I think part of the challenge is just the economy. Is
I
the
agree with
you know I have a dog, and I think at times I spend more on her than I do myself. There's the part of the challenge, and between the vet bills and food and everything else, and I know that people are on fixed income or struggling. Unfortunately, some of them had to give their pets up, and where we'd love to have people adopting animals and dogs from our facility, they just don't have the economic wherewithal to do that. That's the challenge we're confronted with today, and I don't know how to get around that. I mean, just dog food alone, when I see the price of dog food, it's incredible how that has increased in price. So I can only imagine what you folks are spending at the kennel for dog food.
Quite a bit,
Yeah.
especially because we have so many dogs. It's a lot of
Right.
dogs to feed.
So are you through with your presentation?
Well, I just wanted to,
Okay.
I agree with you exactly, 100%. Where we're headed, the past year, the trend we've witnessed over previous years continues to be a challenge. There's more abandoned, injured, cruelty, neglect, and unwanted pets. So we're looking at the two reoccurring themes is education. Now that we're getting fully staffed, we're looking to educate the public more using digital media, social media, flyers, but then doing more of that public outreach, getting out in the communities, the neighbors, the schools. And then we're going to take a look, since we're having a new chief animal control officer, we're going to take a look and review the current ordinances with their associated fines and penalties, and then research the possibility of implementing new ordinances to assist in our mission. I know you've offered, in the fact, anything
I
we
have.
need. And we're going to look, we have a chance to look at that since we're kind of getting our feet back under us with some staffing issues. So those are things that we're going to look at moving forward.
Okay, and on that point, I helped push and advocate. Dick Goddard was a friend of mine, and he was passionate about the Dick Goddard law, which ultimately got passed in the state, but also was watered down from what he had originally wanted. So again, I'm saying to the administration collectively, I would ask for someone to look at the existing codified ordinances, because I'm aware of the increased number of dogs that are being abused, not taken care of, neglected, and I feel, to me, as my mother would always tell me when I was a kid, and I've recited it many times to my own, takes care of God's creatures and he'll take care of you. Unfortunately, too many people have forgot about that. And so I'm just saying that if there's areas of the codified ordinances that you need to toughen up, the penalty sections, whatever, I'm ready to go. I mean, I'm ready to go. If it's going to give you the additional tools you need, because ultimately, who gets the calls about the animals that are being abused or being abandoned? It's members of city council.
Right.
And I have turned my share in over the years, and I'm appalled the way some people treat their pets or animals in general. And then again, I'm not surprised because some of them treat their own kids the same way. So what am I shocked? No, I'm not. But get me whatever. I mean, I can only speak on behalf of my colleagues. I don't know if there's anybody in this body who would not sign on to supporting increased penalties for animal cruelty, animal abuse, fighting, you name it. We're all on board because we're sick of this crap. I mean, I'm really sick of it, that people in 2022 would still be engaged in this type of activity in the city of Cleveland. Puts a burden on the police department. How often do we get reports? I get these calls, I'm sure my colleagues do, from residents who can't get their mail delivered because of the dogs running or what they perceive to be vicious dogs in a neighborhood. And I don't blame the postal workers for not wanting to deliver mail because they're afraid for themselves.
Right,
And then you
right.
got to worry about kids and people and pedestrians and the whole 9 yards. So I say this through you to the chief, to the director, and to the assistant director. I made this offer a year ago, and I'm making it again. If there's penalties, provisions that need to be increased, improved upon with regard to animal abuse, animal cruelty, whatever, please get it to us and we'll act initially. My only other question before I open up is on critter control.
Yes, sir.
Have we funded that adequately?
Yes, they're busy, and we've kept them really busy this year. They charge typically $50 to set a trap. They charge $75 for removal and disposal, and $199 for after-hour emergencies. It's usually like a sick animal, like a skunk or something of that nature.
So residents do not have a problem getting a trap now or getting service?
I don't think so. I think I've delivered traps personally. I've had
Okay.
staff take out traps. We get a list started. We can only keep so many traps. They're
Right.
large, so we have over 100 and some traps, but they're, in the peak of the season, they're usually all out.
Okay,
And
I
critter-
just want to make sure, because the groundhogs are a big issue with us. And then my order, it's groundhogs, raccoons, and then skunks. That's my order that I get them in. And then I've even seen, but, there's nothing you're going to do about it, a big increase in rabbits for some reason. Why? I think the coyotes have disappeared in my own neighborhood. So I'm seeing a proliferation of rabbits, but there's not too much I can do about that. But the groundhogs can be very damaging to people's property. Okay, without any further, well, just one question. Wait a minute. On overtime, there's been a 177% increase.
Yes, sir.
What do you attribute that to?
I attribute that to lack of staff. If you can see in
Okay.
that overall picture there, we're at only 50% of the salary category.
Okay,
And again, to the credit of the animal control workers, they're stepping up and taking the overtime, but we're only at 54% of our salary line item. We're already coming into November.
okay. I just want to make sure that supplies, where there was an issue with supplies?
Yes, sir.
Has that been addressed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're
So
good
you
to go.
have
We're-
vaccinations, you
Yes, sir.
have food, you have sanitary supplies?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I don't have to get any more of those nasty emails.
I hope not. We're
Okay.
preparing for the end of the year.
Because I'm going to send them to the assistant director when I go. Okay? She's going to get the nasty emails on animal stuff, okay? Okay, my colleagues. Yes, Councilwoman Gray.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. I do agree with all the pesky animals, groundhogs is running around annoying people, and it is a wildlife. It is a wildlife situation that the residents don't care. They just don't care. They just want them picked up, removed, but, the habitation of them habitating and making families is just overwhelming, as well as skunks, per se. See them walking around the neighborhood, and they don't even budge now. They're your neighbors, so there's nothing we can do about it, and it's just so awful. They don't even get out the streets when you run, when you're driving down the street. They don't even move over. They just stop, to wait for you to stop for them to cross the street. So it's just amazing how they have moved into the neighborhood. But I do have a personal situation that I'm dealing with that I am so happy. That's why I waited so long to hang out here at this table, because I have a question for everything that came up. So this is what I've been dealing with, and I believe, what's your name, sir?
Bruce Campbell?
Family, you might.
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. I'm working with Dave Roberts in the law department now because in my street, or my neighborhood, we have a resident that has been overwhelmingly feeding cats. I don't know, we've been calling, we called the animal control. None of my neighbors on the street have called. They have called me. So I've been doing all the calling, talking with your department, and they have been so graceful, so informative. So now I'm with Dave Roberts in the law department downtown. Downstairs. So this has been going on over a year, but just this year it has gotten out of hand to the point where the other neighbors have called me because it's gotten out of hand on my street and my neighborhood. And I've been dealing with it, you know, for all the residents on the streets. We have an overwhelming of cats. I have one particular neighbor that's been feeding the cats since last year. The cats had already had 3 sets of litter. So those kittens are now cats. So we got a dozen of cats on one property. Now they getting ready to have another batch, because we know kittens have litter, what, every 60 days, 90 days? So now the neighbors are more annoyed with the next batch coming, because we're dealing with 12 cats. So this is what I've been patiently, I get along with all the neighbors, even this particular neighbors. I had a conversation asking her, does she need help to resolve, to get rid of the cats, because they are all over the place. They have come very aggressive. They even jumped on a resident walking down the street out the tree and jumped on the neighbor. So these cats have come very aggressive in the neighborhood. And I have had a conversation with my neighbor last couple of months to graciously ask her, does she need help, how I can help, because the cats are pooping everywhere. She's not cleaning up the poop. You know, they spraying everywhere. You know, they just everywhere. So to that, she said, well, I'm just feeding the cats. They're not my cats. If you feed them, they're your cats. You're not cleaning up behind them. You're not taking care of them. So they are considered as community cats. So she said, well, I don't let the cats come in my house. But you've been feeding them, and they have made 3 sets of litter in the last year. So she said, well, I keep them outside. If you feed them, they're your cats. She denied they're her cats, but she feed them every day. Believe you me, we got pictures all over the place. She feed them. People got pictures of her feeding them, leaving food out in front of the house on the porch. She even got a cat tree. She got a a cat cover for the cats to go in the wintertime to stay warm, but those are not her cats. We got pictures. Animal Control came out, took pictures of everything. They have already talked to her twice. It's been ongoing. We got APL involved. I'm going to call them, because the gist of APL, we graciously said, call APL. They sent me the flyers. They gave her information, but I'm going to read this. The young lady, Clark, Miss Clark, she said that she went out to the house. She went out to the house and told her that they're going to give her a notice violation for feeding the cats, and she needs help to get the cats removed. They will do, APL will do what they can to help her. So she said that she went out and she informed Miss Such and Such, I'm not going to give her name, about APL and Alley Cat Allies on October 14th. Miss neighbor, I'm just going to call her neighbor because I get along with her. I like her. I talk to her, so we have nothing. She said she called back and stated that APL told her there were no laws against her feeding cats, and she does not legally responsible to remove the cats from her property. These are community cats. She feed the cats, but she said that was not her cat. So if APL told her that she's not legally responsible to remove the cats from her property, but the cats, she said the cats don't enter to her property, these are community cats. I, not only as a council, but as a neighbor, I said I'm going to reach out to APL to see how much it costs to remove all those 12 cats, because they on my property. They on my porch. They bringing the food on my porch. Now they thinking that I'm going to feed them food because the food is brought on my porch. They under my porch. I had to actually get my porch sealed and get that fence. What you call that?
Lattice?
The chicken wire, had to get that. Secondly, more chicken wire around my entire porch, because the kittens that got under got through the chicken wire, because the groundhog found a way how to go through my wood, so I had to get it doubly sealed. So it's been costing me. get my point? I'm the one that's paying more price than any other, the other neighbors on the street. But they said, Councilwoman Gray, we want these cats off the porch. Cats are cats. We can't do nothing about that.
Right.
They wondering, no one against cats. Just say this, everybody, we're not against animals. We know there's a lot of lovers, but particularly no one have cats per se. No one have dogs per se. And if they do, they don't want additional cats on their property. You got to clean up behind them. She doesn't clean up behind them. She doesn't do anything. She feeds them. She keep them out. So now, but now since APL told her that, you know, there's nothing that I'm going to force her to do as a council, because that's my neighbor. We've been neighborly for years and stuff, all that good stuff. So since she was told that, I need to know what's the next step, because they're everywhere on my property. I'm not against animals. I just don't have them. I don't take care of them. I don't want a cat. I don't want a dog. But I'm not against the animal lovers. However, they just everywhere. And I want to know, what is the next move for us as a community on my street to do about this overwhelming cats that is fed every day, and they get ready to have another set of litter, so we're going to have we're going to have 18 cats soon, right on this particular property. They wander around everywhere. So how can we get the system to remove all the cats? Because that's the only way they're going to be removed. She doesn't take care of them. She just feed them, and that's neglect. That is abuse to these cats, because they outside all day, every day. And she don't know in her own mind that she's abusing these cats, because they just wander around all day, sleeping around, hanging around. And you know what, and as a community, we looking at it as an abuse, because she doesn't initially take care of them. She's not taking care of them. She's just feeding them. So tell me, what is the next proper move for us as other neighbors to remove the cats, and how much it's going to cost, because they're willing to pitch in to come to get the community cats out the community, since she claiming that they're not hers, but she feeds them. So thank you for that long speech.
Comment on that?
Through the chair to Councilperson Gray, I know that's frustrating. We get these kind of calls all the time with different types of animals and things. We do pay the APL to do what's called a TNR, trap, neuter, release for feral cats. They can become aggressive when they're out in the when they basically become wild cats. So we pay for them to do that. So if we can capture those cats, that's where the big problem is they're reproducing. Spay and neuter is what we promote with dogs and cats. But so we do pay the APL to do the trap, neuter, release. I know you unpacked a lot of information there. I would ask you to allow me some time to look into it. And I can reach out to your executive assistant.
Yeah, if you could reach out to her besides
and I'll
his
reach out
committee
to her.
study.
It's more than that, because listen, I got it all here, so it's
Oh,
more.
good.
I could have unpacked, but I know that we're running out of time.
She wrote you a novel.
Okay, I did. I emailed. This how long we were emailing. Listen, Animal Control has
think-
been fantastic.
And I think that-
APL has been fantastic. So we all trying to work together, but it just been going on for at least a year, and we all been patiently just trying to figure it out. So we just trying to work together, trying to be neighborly.
So if you would work with the council, just my last question, and you mentioned APL. I've had mixed results with APL. What is their official role? They are not a county agency.
They are a nonprofit, 501c3.
Okay.
Well-funded through their fundraising opportunities.
Yeah.
They have humane officers that do the investigations and prosecutions
Yes.
of neglect cases.
So they can prosecute
They
as
do.
well?
They have their own prosecutor. They have their own veterinarians there. That's why we utilize them for some spay and neuters and for this trap, neuter, release program.
So when they come in the city, when they come across a case of neglect, abuse, they would initiate that legal action and not you?
Yes, and we work together in concert. I meet with Sharon, the head of the APL, and Mindy at the head of the county. So we meet monthly just to discuss these types of things and collaborate together. So we do share information with APL back and forth. We get cases that we refer over to them is typically the
So
way it
how,
goes.
they've gotten their legal authority from the Ohio Revised Code, or how?
I think so, the Ohio Revised Code, and then when talking with Sharon, that when their humane investigators are appointed, they're appointed through a judge. That gives them their power to be humane investigators.
Okay, that's interesting, because again, I've had mixed results with them, that's why I was just wondering. Okay,
yeah,
and what
they've
did
done
they
a good job.
charge us to do that?
To do the spay neuter?
Yeah, what-
I don't know the per case, but we budgeted about $65,000 annually because it has such an impact for cats, reducing the feral cat
Okay,
population.
okay, yeah, keep me apprised of that, and members of the committee, because, you know, again, it all comes down to a people problem, as we just heard. It's a people problem, and it's beyond me. I don't know how people get so screwy at some point as it pertains to their alleged pets or how they interact with wildlife in a neighborhood, but then there's a lot of things I question. But anyway, okay, without any further ado, this operational review, which started at 10 o'clock. No, we did it.
We did it.
Yeah, we knocked that out. That was the first one we did when we came back. So we started at 10, we broke for 35 minutes, and I appreciate everybody who was here from the administration and my colleague. I know today was a busy day with my colleagues, various meetings and things going on. And so without any further ado, this committee stands adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.